This content is brought to you by BEC Financial Technologies, developing and operating IT for Danish banks.
Okay, everyone, we are now welcoming Michał Krajewski to the stage. Michał has over a decade of experience in product management, working everywhere from Nielsen, building multi-billion-dollar analytical systems, to Bold, and now leading at product at GOG. That's the gaming platform, which means that Michal's users are gamers. The most opinionated, detail-oriented, I will write a 47-page Reddit post about this button users on the internet. Some of you might know Michał from his podcast, Tak by było dobrze, which delivers practical PM insights for thousands of professionals across Poland. But it translates to "that would be good," which is the most product manager phrase ever. In my opinion, it's typically at least what I say before adding another item to the backlog. So, Michał, take it away.
Thank you. Hi, guys. Thanks for that introduction. And today I want to talk to you about, how product managers use AI in their day-to-day work, basically, right? How I use AI, but also how I see the top product managers in GOG, but in other companies also use AI to basically improve their work, right? A couple of words about me, right? I don't want to repeat myself, so you can check my LinkedIn, but currently I work at GOG, and I have around 14 experience in product, startups, and also data science, right? And you can also check my LinkedIn if you want to. So the agenda is quite simple. We'll go through 5 tools, basically, or use cases that I have using AI, and I hope you will be able to basically start using these ideas tomorrow, right? Or next week, maybe, right? Because some of these tools actually really improve my work and also improve the work of people that I, work with on a daily basis, right? And still, this is something that not many people use enough, in my opinion. So there is a lot of research going on around AI and productivity boost. Does it improve the productivity of people? We can be quite sure that it does improve programmers' productivity because a lot of the tools are aimed at programmers. But does it help product managers? So this is a McKinsey research made this year, and they said that the PM productivity rose by 40%. Like, this sounds like a really huge number, a crazy number. And in my opinion, it's probably a little bit overblown yet, but very soon it will be like this. And the best product managers will be expected to use AI and expected to see this productivity boost of their own work. And I actually see it already. It's not, 40% yet for me, but I feel it's like, maybe 20, maybe 25. So, and I really want to voice this sentiment that is here on this slide, right? And I think, the previous speaker also, in the end, it was quite underlined that you have to use AI tools to improve your thinking, to improve the speed and quality of your thinking, rather than just say, oh, AI, synthetic persona said this, so let's do this because it did that, right? So it's something that I think it was also quite clear in the previous presentation that you have to use your own brain during the whole process. AI should help you think, but it's not a replacement for your brain, at least not for a long time. And I really enjoyed a couple of weeks ago, Anthropic, the makers of Claude, which is the AI tool I will show you in a second. They had this nice ad that they said that their tool is made for people that think as they work, and they encourage people to keep thinking. And this is something that also I want to leave you with is we need to keep thinking, we need to keep being human, and we need to use those AI tools for what they are, tools to help us work. So the first use case is Claude for A/B test analysis. So here I use Claude, but honestly you can use Gemini, you can use ChatGPT. Claude, from my experience, is best for data visualizations and understanding data. So I encourage you to test it out if, at least when I showed it to people in my company, the difference between Claude, Gemini, and ChatGPT was quite big. So I think Claude can be a winner for you. So I think there's a huge shift happening in product management, right? So there was an old way that is still present, probably in many companies, most companies. You got some data from an A/B test, right? For example, you had to clean it, you had to analyze it manually usually, and then put it in a nice slide or report that, let's be honest, not many people will read. And this is, if you have to do it yourself, or you have to send it over to an analyst. So this can take even longer. The time spent on analysis can be hours, can be a day, or you can wait like a week for an analyst to come back with the report, right? There is a new way happening, right? You have to upload you can get your data in whatever form, right? Like I use, of course, screenshots, databases, tables, whatever the form is. You upload it to Claude or your favorite tool. You work on the analysis within the AI, and then you can show the actual artifact or report to the stakeholders instead of spending days and hours polishing it, and nobody will read it anyway. So this is the new way, and I discovered it a couple of months ago from one-time use when I was trying to analyze an A/B test that I was doing, and then did just the flow that I showed you, and then showed it to stakeholders, and they said, "Wow, what a nice report, and how much time it took you, right?" And then from that moment, it spread out through the organization. More people started using it, and then I actually tried to automate it more for myself and also for other people so they can use it. After you can let me know, and I can send you the presentation. There are some project instructions and examples of what I was doing, and this actually saves me probably from those methods that I show you the most time, because like even today, it was happened 1 week ago and today actually, I got the data from some test, and instead of like analyzing it myself, like checking statistical significance, blah blah blah, I just uploaded to Claude to my project, and I was done basically, and I could make a decision. And the tool didn't make the decision for me; I made it for myself, right? So yeah, just to show you, this is of course fake data. It's not my company data. Look how simple it can be, basically, right? You can just set up your project and set up the prompt inside the project, and that you can get from me, or you can just look it up, and then you can upload the data, put a really simple prompt, right? Analyze this A/B test for a homepage, like a fake test. Calculate the statistical significance for AOV, conversion, all kinds of stuff, and output it as an artifact, right? And then Claude will just basically put out a nice artifact that you can I just send it to people, right, as it is, right? But you can analyze it. You can put, like, let's put some recommendations in the end that you had to think about. You probably shouldn't trust AI on that just yet. You do it. It takes you like 30 minutes, and you're good to go to move to some better, higher, function work. So I do it, as I said, probably weekly, a couple of times, and it really saves me a lot of time. And it's something that I think you can start basically tomorrow. So a simple use case, and something that a lot of people in my company started working, actually saying, "Oh, this is actually helping us quite a bit." Even today, because I was talking about this presentation to a coworker, and he said, "I actually don't know how to work without AI yet anymore." So this is something that you have to be careful about. So here I still, I understand how to calculate statistical significance, stuff like that. So now the prototyping. Here I have an example in Lovable, because this is my favorite tool, but you probably know there are other tools like this one. And I got a quote from Chief Product Officer at Microsoft. And if you are not prototyping to figure out what you want to build, you are likely doing it wrong, right? Quite a strong statement here. And prototypes have been a thing in product and design for many, many years. But now I think it's the first time that everybody can build not like a prototype, even a proof of concept, or even a working product. The old way, stakeholders, this is a case of how you can narrow down the scope, but you can use it to more cases. Stakeholders come with a huge scope. There's like an endless discussion that commences, people arguing, okay, let's do this, let's do that, and then the scope can get even larger, right? This can take weeks, basically. And in the end, you get a blown up product that nobody wants to use, actually. Now there's a new way. Stakeholders still will be coming with a huge scope, but you can use these prototyping tools to understand what they need and get more clarity on what has to be built in reality and shipped to production. And at this last point, you need only to ship what is really needed instead of wasting time of developers and UX designers to design stuff that nobody uses, right? One case, I guess like a month ago, somebody came from, not from my department, but from other department with a great idea, but it was hard for him to say what he needs and what he wants, right? He was, oh, let's maybe build this. Is it possible? Maybe this is possible. All kinds of questions, and it took us a bunch of meetings to actually, come to some basic understanding. So I sit down myself and build a quick prototype, and shown the actual prototype to him, narrowing the scope to the max, and he said, "Oh, this is exactly what we need," and then we just built it, saving weeks and weeks of developer time and weeks of, my time as well. And then you can use it to build like prototypes from scratch, but you can also build it you can use it to improve a part of your product, because it's not so often that you have to build like a whole dashboard. One case I have here, let's imagine that you are a product manager at CNN, and you just want to, you see an article, and you think, okay, we are losing traffic. Not many people are actually sharing our articles. And you click on share button, and it's like terrible, right? Check this article and a link. So you think, oh, maybe we can improve this. But instead of writing down a document, a PRD or whatever, you just go to Lovable, you tell it, hey, let's recreate this, this part of our product. If you are in a more, let's say, advanced organization, you should have like a Lovable already set up with branding and all kinds of goodies. But you can do it, on your own. Lovable produces this, simple-looking site, but it's, clearly CNN. And then you can prompt it and say, okay, let's add this, let's add that. And in the process of prompting, you actually get clarity for yourself what has to be built here. So I was, prompting the tool a couple of times to get what I needed. And in the end, what I got is like a improved, let's say, sharing experience for users. When I said, okay, let's have like a nice image preview of the sharing of the post that was supposed to be shared. Let's get some actual content here instead of just like, hey, this is a link. And then let's have some AI tool already built in to regenerate, to create the prompt, to create the snippet itself, right? And in the process of doing that, I discovered a couple of small UX improvements that we could make as a CNN product manager, of course. And then I can go with this prototype immediately and show it to stakeholders in a form of workshops. We can actually work together to get something that everybody wants to actually use. So this is something that a lot of people already use, not just for simple feature improvements, but so to build vision types, to build like even whole apps to move faster, right? This is not something that you would actually ship to production, of course, but maybe this day will come as well. Then the next tool is NotebookLM for user research. So actually, it's surprising that not that many people still use NotebookLM. It's a tool from Google, and it's quite great for me to analyze big chunks of data, right? Again, the old way, we had to work with the researchers to get the quantitative analysis. They work on it, they spend a lot of time on it, and then you get a lengthy report and you follow up. You will still be doing that for most more crucial products, but there's a new way, right? You can actually ingest all the data to NotebookLM, ask for summary, ask for everything anything you want, and then you can use your brain to identify the most interesting insights, right? Here's just a screenshot from a couple of months ago. I just ingest like 8,000, 10,000 of actual qualitative responses for users and ask my my NotebookLM to give me some summaries. So, for example, here I actually uploaded a fake data set of like 1,000 video player opinions and asked with a simple prompt, hey, can you list all problems? Can you, for each problem, how many times it appears from specific quotes from users, severity, and then highlight the 5 most important ones, right? Most pressing ones. And as you can see, in the end, it got me the list of the most pressing ones. And what's interesting, it does show you the quotes, exact quotes. So you cannot, as I said, you cannot like just say, oh, the AI tool gave me this response. I encourage you to actually check and read your users. But if you have a lot of data and you just want to move quickly and get the most pressing issues from our users, this is a great tool. Another, not exactly NotebookLM, but a similar use case, I got an idea from our support team that they just, each day they post a Slack post with the most pressing issues that users had in the day before, right? So this is a similar concept. You just quickly identify what's the most pressing issue and you can act on it. Or not, if it's not high priority. Then deep research. So now actually, I don't know if you read it, but a lot of like consulting companies have problems because they, for years and years, they produce like research reports that cost like, dozens of thousands of dollars, $200,000, and now you can do it like in minutes for yourself. It won't be the same quality, but I will show you some tips how you can actually improve the quality, at least how I do it. So this is the reality that we are in now. Yeah, the old way. I would say this is also like the first case of an A/B test. This is also a huge time saver for me because I do a lot of like this research that in the old way I had to spend maybe days or just tell somebody to do it for me, and they would spend days on this desk research. They had to check all the sources manually and then put it in a nice report, right? 2 to 3 days if it's like not a very time-intensive report. Then the new way, at least this is the way that I use, you can launch like not 1, but like 3 or 4 deep research agents. You get another AI to synthesize all the learnings, and then you judge the results on yourself, and you can move forward. Like it can take you 2 hours, 3 hours. And as I said, to minimize hallucinations or to, let's say, expand the pool of knowledge that you have access to, I recommend launching like 4 agents or 3 agents. And then each of these agents will have probably different access. Claude will look at different sources. Gemini will have maybe broader selection of sources. And then you put it in NotebookLM or maybe another AI tool and ask it to synthesize the reports, right? And then once you get it, you can take a look and judge it with your own brain. And then thanks to that, a couple of times I got reports that exactly after like implementing the product, implementing the feature, they match the benchmarks exactly as it was in the research. So it shows you that this is a quite reliable method to get good benchmarks that you could do it in the past, but it would take you a long time. Okay, now the bonus. Why is a bonus? Because it's something that I think this is what I showed you so far. I think it's a present and near future for product managers. And this Claude Code and usage of Claude Code, I think it's the future. It doesn't have to be Claude Code, but I use it as an example. So the idea here is that you have to use your AI to context engineering to actually feed your AI with good quality content, right? Here I have an example that I use personally with Obsidian for Markdown nodes. Why I use it? Because it's something that you can host locally on your machine. And then you can use Claude Code or some open source AI to actually access your data, right? And thanks to that, you build this huge data knowledge or data tree that you can later use instead of just like relying on what's inside ChatGPT, right? And And I think that's quite important for the future in organizations that care about their own knowledge and their proprietary models and proprietary data to use some kind of open source and tools and models for context engineering, right? Because there can be a case that the models will become so similar to one another that it's better for you and cheaper to use it this way. And I have one example of that. This is also a fake one, but with my friend Piotr here, we are working diligently to actually start combining our own knowledge together to build this knowledge pool in Obsidian. And then later, we can expand it to our organizations, right? Once you have a nice knowledge pool of everybody that uses these tools, then you can build something better with your AI. So here it's fake example, of course. A bunch of user interviews that I got here, also made with AI. And then you can ask Claude Code that will access Claude to do the analysis, to summarize all the interviews, right? It does the summary. I did it before, of course. Where is it, the summary? It was somewhere here. So it's right here. So So it did the summary, and then you can use it later to build the actual prototype based on the summary. So it'll say, okay, user said this, and you can build a prototype using Claude Code, right? And then Claude Code builds you a prototype that you can use, or you can just discard it. Using this flow, you can automate a lot of work for yourself. Here, as I said, as just a simple example, but once you get good at it, you can actually automate a lot of the stuff that I previously showed you in different tools. You can try to automate it over here, right? And then in the end, I asked it, okay, can you build me a nice demo app, right? Based on the user research. And of course, it did. The app is actually quite advanced. And it took them 3 minutes, right? And immediately you can see what the users were saying, what they wanted in the app. And you probably shouldn't just take it and say, okay, this is what we want to build, right? But I think this is a very powerful flow when you want to quickly develop some new ideas, yeah? And then there are some voices, right? He's saying that, is AI going to replace this position or another one? For product managers, I would say it's pretty safe, for now at least. This is a quote from Andrew Ngo, the co-founder of Coursera, and a great guy that tries to spread AI knowledge among normal people. And he said that engineers are getting 10 times faster, right? Maybe 10 times it's over-exaggeration, but I see that they do use all the AI tools. So that's pretty great. But product managers, I don't think, and he doesn't think as well, haven't sped up at the same rate. Now they are the bottleneck. So I would say that's in a way, good thing, right? Because if engineers are able to ship faster, then we need to improve our speed of thinking and decision making as well. And here AI can help quite a bit. And I would say we need to start keep thinking better, keep using those tools to rather not replace us, but keep thinking better, keep using them in a smart way, and I think we will be in a really good place, a couple of years down the line. So that's all. Thank you.
Okay, questions, anyone?
Hi. So, are you not afraid about the data that you are sending from the, let's say, A/B tests to the cloud or some other sources?
Sorry, was that?
Are you not afraid about the sensitivity of the data that you are sending to some AI, checking online and so on?
So you should use in most organizations, the AI tools that are approved by the organization, right? So,
and if there is no tool approved in the organization, then what would you recommend?
If there is no tool approved, then I suggest your organization really should work on that, right? Let's be real. If an organization that's a tech organization doesn't have some tool approved, ChatGPT or whatever, then they should. I think also, as I said in the end, there is a possibility for open source models that are run locally. So if your organization is the one that really cares about proprietary data, stuff going to some servers in the USA, I would say they need to look at just open source models that you run on your PC. If you have a even mid speed MacBook or PC, you can run those analyses. It won't be so fast, but you can do it, right?
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. Very interesting. I have a question, which is, you find yourself saving a lot of time. What do you find yourself doing with that time? I'll tell you where I'm coming from, okay?
Yeah.
There are a few things you can do with the time you've saved. You can design more features, you can design more prototypes, you can do better validation, so you can improve the quality of the product, right? Which also goes to a point. You can improve it till a point. Beyond that, marginal returns reduce, right? Then you can increase the number of features you ship, but again, there's a constraint there. Engineers will have to deploy. You don't want to take over deployment, so there's a limit there as well, right? So I'm wondering if the people management part of product management becomes more important when you save time like this, or where else do you spend your time?
Yeah, I would say people management for sure, and listening more to. Actually, there are two things you can do, I think. One is user empathy, so talking more to users, because it's a time-consuming task, right? Reading more about what they need instead of just in a report. You can actually do more this research. And the second part is actually what I'm doing right now, is I have more time and more this space to think about strategic bets for the future. So I think strategy is something that is still AI. I try to use it, but it's not there yet, right? So I would say user empathy and then strategy. It's something that product managers can have the most leverage on for now. Yes. And long-term thinking, right? Because this what I showed you is more like medium to short-term, right? But more long-term, AI is not yet there. So.
Hi, you show different kind of the way about the prototyping and managing the scope. What about the task, managing task, and prepare the all scope to the system and create the documentation that make the process faster? Yes. Did you use some kind of tool to make it happen? I don't know, some kinds of VBS or different kind PDS that make a structure and put it in the different kinds of, I don't know, Jira or etc. So you have make all of the prototype, make it for the task, signing to developers, the teams, and writing the description. So basically, did you ever try some kind of approach using AI?
So basically, taking from prototype to requirements or task management. Honestly, I haven't found yet a good solution for that. Usually, I can use AI to do the description and check some acceptance criteria, stuff like that. But for example, if I write a PRD, which is just a supplement to the prototype, I try a lot of times, and I actually listen to a bunch of PMs saying the same thing, that for PRDs and writing this user stories, stuff like that, it's probably not there yet. I mean, it sounds very superstitial, but I know that we use it to write tests in programming. So there is some use there, but I would say it's not something that I do day by day.
Hi, side question. Working at CD Projekt, you have this, I think, unique look into organization that until recently the competences were quite siloed, meaning designers were doing design work, motion designers, music composers, and so on. Right now with the AI, where pretty much any creative output becomes a commodity, can you share kind of a glimpse of how this may affect such organizations that are producing games, and where the product manager itself might fall into that, where pretty much they can produce games themselves. Of course, I'm not talking about the AAA class of product, but still, I think everybody are seeing that the gravity is shifting.
Yeah, I need to make you sadder because I don't work in CD Projekt. I'm just part of the CD Projekt group, right? But I would say that Yeah, it's a hard question. I would say that the difference now, I think, is that everybody's getting and should get a little bit closer, right, when it comes to working, right? Like prototyping, I can get a good enough prototype that kind of looks okay, and I can show the idea, show the clarity of the idea. But then when I saw like how good enough design looks like and how the best design looks like, then it's a huge difference. So I think here is this human expertise really needed still, and it will be needed probably for many years. When it comes to like real art, I know that artists are also in our company very picky about AI art. So I would say this is not something that a lot of artists want to use day by day, which is understandable. It's just something that they don't think is real art, right? But honestly, at some point it's just democratization of this access. So it's games or apps. You can build them already now, and in like 1 year or 2 years, I think people will start building really complex, even games and experiences for other people, right? So I would say for now it's very like muddy area, but in a couple of years people just get used to it.
Any other question? In that case, thank you, Michał.
Thank you.